Namaste everyone, I am Gyan and you are watching the session 5 of Java and Web, user-defined data types. In this video, we will learn about the static blocks and static control flow in Java. We cannot write any operation other than the declaration of variables directly inside the class definition and outside of all methods. Here in the class SI block, we have written a statement integer I is equal to 5. And then after the next statement is I is equal to I plus 1. We can declare a variable and assign it into the body of the class but outside of all methods. But we cannot write a statement which can change the value of the variable inside the class body but outside of all the methods. So for this statement, the compiler will throw an error. In fact, we cannot use any statement other than the variable declaration inside the class body and outside all the methods of the class body. So writing here system.out.println statement also throws an error. Let me try this code practically. Open siblock.java and this is the same code as we seen. Let me try to compile it. Java C siblock.java. Compiler throws various errors. At line number 4 it says identifier expected. At the line number 5 the compiler throws 2 errors. So that's how we cannot write any statement other than the variable declaration inside a class body but outside of all the methods. To write any operation other than the declaration directly inside the class definition but outside of all the methods, we need 2 types of blocks. The first type of blocks are called static blocks and the second type of blocks are called instance blocks. If inside the body of the class but outside the body of any method, you provide opening and closing curly brackets and write a keyword static before the opening curly bracket, then the block between the opening and closing curly brackets becomes a static block. Inside the static block, we can write other statements also. But inside the static blocks, we cannot access the instance variables. So writing here I is equal to I plus 1 produce a compile time error since the variable I is an instance variable. If the variable I was a static variable, then this statement would execute fine. Then after I am using a statement system.out.println to print a string. Let me execute this code practically. Open staticblock.java and this is the code. This is the same code as we seen. Let me try to compile it. Java C staticblock.java. Compiler throws 2 errors. Non-static variable I cannot be referenced from the static context. We cannot use the non-static variable means instance variable I from the static block. So let me change the type of the variable I to static. Write here static. Now the variable I becomes a static variable. Let me compile and see the output. Java C staticblock.java. Compiles fine, then run it Java static block. It runs fine printing before main and then printing 6. The static block actually executes before the method main. The static block executes first, that's how it has been printed before main first. And then after this statement is printing the current value of the variable I. The current value of the static variable I has been changed to 6 in this statement. So printing this statement prints 6. That's how we come to know that the static block runs before the main method. So as we already seen this program, if we convert the integer variable I to a static, then we can use the static variable I inside the static block. This is the formal definition of the static blocks. Apart from the static variables and methods, we have static blocks defined in the class. Operations written inside these blocks are class level and common to all the objects. That's why we cannot use the instance variables inside the static block. These static blocks automatically execute just once after the class loading and before the execution of the method main. If we want some operation to execute at the time of the class loading but before the execution of the method main, write it in the static block. We can have any number of static blocks inside a class. All the static blocks present in a class will execute from top to bottom. Now we will see the flow of execution of various static blocks and assignment of various static variables after the class loading. First, .class file gets loaded. Then the static variable j has been identified and assigned with the default value. Actually, all static members, either blocks, variables or functions, just gets identified, not executed from top to bottom of the class body. Corresponding default values gets assigned to all the static variables. In the third step, the static block identified. In the fourth step, the static method main identified. Remember that the value has not been assigned to the variable j, the static block has not been executed and the method main will not execute. Here we are just identifying the various static members. If the static member is a variable, then the default value of the corresponding variable will be assigned to it. Then after the static method hello has been identified. After that, this static block has been identified. Then after the static variable k has been identified and the default value 0 has been assigned to the static variable k. So this was the first round of static control flow. In the first round of static control flow, all the static members has been identified. The static variables have been identified and got their default values. The static blocks have been identified and the static methods also have been identified. After that, the second round of static control flow starts. The second round of static control flow also goes from top to bottom. So the first static member in the class body is integer variable j. At this time, the value 6 has been assigned to the static integer variable j. So now the execution of static variable assignments and the static blocks start from top to bottom. The value 6 already has been assigned to the static variable j. Now this static block starts execution and the first statement in this static block is to call the static method hello. So the static method hello has been called and the first statement to execute in the hello body is system.out.println hello method. That's how the hello method string gets printed on the output. After executing this statement, the execution of the method hello comes to an end. So the control goes to that statement from where the method hello has been called. The statement next to execute is system.out.println first static block. That's how the program prints first static block on the output. The static methods like the method main and the method hello will not execute automatically without method call. To execute the method main and the method hello, someone need to call these methods. Without calling, they will not execute automatically. One more thing you have to notice here is we have printed the hello method and we have printed the hello static block without execution of the method main. Till now the method main has not been started its execution. That's how after this statement, the next static member to execute is this static block. Because the static methods cannot be executed automatically without method calls. The first statement in the static block is to call the method hello. That's how the method hello again has been called. And the statement to print inside the body of the method hello is the system.out.println hello method. That's how hello method gets printed once again. After that, the execution of the method hello comes to an end and the control returns to that statement where the method hello has been called. The next statement to execute is this statement, system.out.println second static block. That's how it has been printed second static block. After this statement, the execution of this static block is over and we have to assign the value 7 to the static integer k. After assigning the value 7 to the static integer k, the default execution of the static members is now over. When the execution of static declarations and static blocks gets finished, then the JVM starts the main method. The first statement to execute in the main method is a call to the method hello. So the method hello has been called and one statement to print inside the body of the method hello is the hello method. That's how the hello method has been printed and the execution of the method hello comes to an end. The control returns to that point from where the method hello has been called. The next statement to execute after the method call hello is system.out.println main method. That's how it prints main method on the output. After the execution of this statement, the execution of the method main comes to an end and the execution of JVM also comes to an end. Here you should notice that the static declarations and the static blocks gets executed automatically. But here static methods gets executed only if it has been called. The static methods like the method main and the method hello will be identified in the first round of the static flow control. But these static methods, that means the method main and the method hello, will not execute automatically in the second round of the static control flow. Let me execute this code practically. Open static control flow.java and this is the code. The one thing extra we are doing here, we are printing here the values of static variable j and the static variable k. So after printing everything at last, it will print j is equal to 6 and k is equal to 7. So let me save and compile this code. Java C static control flow.java. It compiles fine, then run it. Java static control flow. It runs fine in printing hello method, first static block, hello method, second static block, hello method, main method, and j is equal to 6, k is equal to 7. Here you cannot use a non-static method or non-static, that means instance variable, from a static method. In the similar way, you cannot use a non-static method or a non-static, that means instance variable, from a static block. Let me print here value of the variable I. Let me write here value of the variable I. Now try to compile this code. Java C static control flow.java. Compiler throws an error. Non-static variable I cannot be referenced from the static context. We cannot use a static variable in the static block when the static block is before the declaration of the static variable. If we do so, the compiler throws an error, illegal forward reference. Let me try this code practically. Open static control flow.java and first remove the variable I from here. Then copy this statement and print this statement in this static block. Let me try to compile this code. Java C static control flow.java. Compiler throws an error, illegal forward reference. We are referencing the static variable k, which has been declared after the static block. Let me make some changes in this code. Remove this statement and call the method main here. Now see what will happen. The method main will be called before the JVM calls the method main. The JVM will call the method main later, but at this time this static block calls the method main before the JVM. After that the JVM will again call the method main. When the static block calls the method main, then the method main have to print the values of the variables j and k. But at this time the value of the variable k has not been initialized. The variable k has its default value. So when this static block calls the method main, this statement prints j is equal to 6, but it will print k is equal to 0, the default value of the variable k. When the JVM calls the method main, then this statement will print j is equal to 6 and k is equal to 7, the assigned value of the static variable k. Let me execute this code. Java C static control flow.java. This is an error. We need to call the method main with the actual argument null. Write here null. From the previous videos, we know that whenever we need to call the method main, then either we need to pass the object of type string array or we need to pass the null value as actual argument. So here we are passing the null value as the actual argument. So let me save and compile it. Java C static control flow.java. Compiles fine, then run it. Java static control flow. It runs fine in printing hello method, first static block, hello method. Then the static block calls the main method and it prints the main method. After printing the main method, the next statement in the main method prints j is equal to 6 and k is equal to 0. At this time the value of j has been assigned, but the value of k has not been assigned. That's how it's printing the default value of k. After that it prints hello method again. It prints second static block. Then the JVM calls the method main. Here the static block calls the method main and here JVM calls the method main. So method main executes, it prints main method and then it prints j is equal to 6 and k is equal to 7. When the JVM calls the main method, at that time all the static variables are already assigned. Here in this case, as we know that we cannot use a non-static method or a non-static variable, that means instance variable, in a static block. So using the non-static method in the static block is a compile time error. Compiler will say non-static method cannot be called from the static context. This is a task for you to try this code practically. We will learn about the instance control flow in the session 6 of Java and Web, Constructors. The link of that video will be provided into the video description of this video after recording of that video. That's all for this video guys. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe this channel if you are new and leave your valuable comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.